Here we are. We got an 8x8 just off the truck. Drop it, gents. Be careful, it's heavy. Dan, what time is it?
About 8.
I don't know.
Time to start firing up some saws.
Yeah, you got a point. It's 8. It's chilly. Got a fire going. Eric and Mike over there. Some guy here with a Chevy. I don't know what he was thinking.
More videos the merrier.
Yeah. So we got a good day coming up.
So maybe you should just go pitch grab all your saws on that video right now. Hey Al, good news and bad news. Good news your saws, yeah. Bad news?
Bunch of logs set up. Gonna be good. And we have to post on the forum. We've cut all the wood.
What is steel?
Pulling worm gear off of
It's like burning you off.
No, it's fine. It's all good. So Matt's custom made piece of pipe fitting that you machined a couple flat spots with a flywheel claw and Canadian Farm Boy's claw. Trying to use it to pull the oil or worm gear off of a 51.
So some idiot posted a while ago online that it was a
What's that joke about the guy
3/4 inch NPT pipe fitting that actually fits around
The worm gear.
the worm gear, and so I went and bought an adapter, and guess what? It's 1/2 inch. It ain't 3/4.
Oh.
And I had to go buy a second adapter, and this tool was born. Now this puller is not the typical puller that I use, so we may have to fabricate something else here because that's gonna slip. Are we good?
Recording.
We're
Yeah.
good. Okay. Yeah. So actually what I had to do was I had to grind a little bit more just so it would grab a little bit better. And then this piece here is of course attached to the worm gear, and the idea with the puller is you're pushing down on the crank and pulling up on the worm gear.
Yep.
So hopefully as we turn it, and this has got to be super stable.
Looks like it's working way better now that you ground it.
Yeah. It's got to be stable.
Oh yeah, it's coming right
otherwise-
off. Did it come off? I still see a worm. Oh no, it's gone.
Watch this.
It's in there.
Watch
Oh,
this.
nice.
Ready for
Yeah.
this? Watch this. Here we go.
Oh, that's awesome.
Unscrew that right there.
Yep. Sweet. Look at that.
Ta-da!
All right. Nice
Pressed
job.
on worm gear.
Thank you, sir.
Now the good news is when you're doing it, putting it back together.
Yep.
It's actually much easier because this you just heat up nice and hot.
Yep.
And it'll just go right on.
Yeah, my 262 when it had the worm gear style like that, I was able to just slide it right on there.
Yep.
And it went back together.
Yep.
This one has sort of not a spiral washer, but it's got a washer up against. It's almost the same setup as the 262.
You might be able to convert it to the same setup. It would make sense to try that if at all possible.
Like you're saying, the clutch run oiler.
Yeah, I don't know if it's possible, but
no, that's fine. These parts are good, so there's nothing wrong with the oiler. So I'm gonna keep it like that.
The other thing about this is that when you're pulling this, a 3/4 inch NPT part doesn't work. It has to be 1/2 inch.
Yep.
Somebody posted the wrong size online, and I stupidly followed. So
yep.
You just engage that, and the NPT doesn't engage tight, which is great. It only engages nice and loose. So then couple of flats, grab the puller there, pull on up. You're done.
Sweet.
So let's
All right.
case.
Our videoing.
All right, so let's crack a case.
Canadian Farm Boy's case puller cracking a 51 case.
You can already see it. You can already see the oil there. Yeah, that's a good sound. And what I'll usually do is I'll work it back and forth a little bit. That way it's even, and you make sure it is separating. If you forgot a bolt, you're in trouble. But that's separating all over the place.
What's that?
That's for the piston.
Oh. Oh, right.
That's actually a good sound.
That's
Cool.
it.
So
case split.
So how long did that take us?
Not long.
Okay. The next thing to do is probably knock this on through. Actually,
This is bearing.
you have a place for parts, so
I just put them on the table and then
we'll find them.
I will gather them.
Let's go get Fred because he wanted to see how the seals and whatnot
Okay,
are
I'll
pulled.
stop this.
that. I would definitely do that. But I was thinking of doing
Those
that
are big
next.
investments.
They are.
Those are not like an Alaskan mill. That's
No.
like, okay, you got a couple of grand investments, but you
Okay, no.
But you think about it,
the lumber will take
the saw is 1,300, and then I got 1,500 invested anyway.
Right, that's my point. Right, you can get a Harbor Freight mill.
No, forget that.
For $2 grand.
That's never gonna,
Yeah.
but your table's on fire.
What?
Table's on fire.
Table.
The other thing I
Where's
wanted
the
to ask
ham?
you was, as far as consumables, you said hardwood chews up the bands on the software. How? But then you also said you ordered like 100 at a time.
They want about $30 a piece. The blades. For your
I get
saw.
mine $16.50.
You get them
Yeah,
cheap?
that was
Shit.
really a great
That's cheap.
deal.
From those are the Excel blades from Cook's Sawmill.
My ripping,
in,
my ripping chains are about, I would say about 31, 32. I get them for.
I mean, the guys that I've seen on YouTube with the Alaskan mills, they go into some places.
One crank.
That's why I like it. See, I got access to woods where I could go in and there's a big piece of ash laying. It's almost like a supermarket. I got this, I got that. I got 75 acres by the house, you know, which I would never get them out of there to be able to set up the mill, you know. Put them on the mill.
So, Matt, you just pried that out, but you had already gotten
The crank.
the crank out.
Yeah.
Does anyone ever pull the seal without taking the crank?
Sure.
And is that
So imagine. All right. So this is cold. Okay. So imagine you have the crank in here. You go against the crank, and because this is all
you just
rubber.
have to get in that lip
You have to get in that lip and pull
then just pull.
up. And what I'll do is I'll get in and work it around a little bit. And
And
once
then you just press the new one in with the crank already in there?
yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
But I have great videos on that. That's actually really important to do
So
properly.
on that lip seal, the part that seals against the shaft is rubber, but then there's like a metal base ring.
There's a metal
on the
ring, yeah,
outside.
which- yeah.
And you're
That's what-
pressing that in.
we
That's
we
what
will look
presses
at that
in.
very closely here in a second. Yes.
And so if you pull up on the rubber part, you could rip the rubber and just
Not
not
worried
get
about
the
it.
seal, right?
Yep. Not worried about ripping the rubber.
Well, I'm not worried about ripping it, but if you rip through the rubber, you're not pulling up the seal, you just ripped through the rubber, right? Does that ever happen?
There it is. The whole thing came right
Put
out.
some pressure on there, though, huh?
Sometimes. What you got?
There's an interference fit.
Yeah.
On the,
Well,
on this.
it's pressed in, but what you got to avoid is you don't want to skewer. If you
Right,
put a
that's what
line,
I'm
if you
talking
put a
about.
line here,
Right.
you're sunk. But so if you look at the anatomy of
Backside.
this,
Backside.
you can lift up and under here
Right, on the metal side.
on the metal. So you're grabbing the metal.
Right.
You're not grabbing
Right.
the case.
And that's a lot
So-
easier with the crank out.
It is a lot easier with the crank out, but you can definitely get it with the crank in.
Okay.
So if the crank's in, let's assume the crank's in. Then what you do is I can use this for illustration, but you don't use a business card for this. You use a Coke can. So on the crank, this part is smooth. The taper is smooth. So let's assume the crank is in, and you put the seal down and over. You're good, right? No problem. But on the other side, you see this lip you can catch your fingernail on?
Yeah.
If you can catch your fingernail on it, you can catch a piece of rubber on it. And if you catch the rubber on it, then this... Ooh.
Would tear.
No. The tear is not the problem. There is a...
Lip,
There's a lip, but there's a spring inside there.
and the spring pops out.
Spring pops out. So if
And
you
then
if
you
you
get no
invert
compression.
this like that, then and the spring pops out, you'll never know it,
And you won't have any, and you'll be leaking.
and you'll be leaking. You'll have an air leak.
Gotcha.
So what you got to do is you take something. Actually,
Like emery.
Almost like a guide, huh?
you need a guide. It's exactly
Yeah,
it.
like a pilot. Yeah.
You need you roll this up like a fruit roll up
Around the shaft.
around the shaft, but you use Coke can to do it because it's very
Very
thin.
thin.
Goes around here first, and you can spin this infinitely this way without hurting it, right?
Down onto the spot it needs to be.
Then the crank's there. This goes here. Spin that right on down and where it needs to
Past
go,
the
Flip it out.
and then tap it in. Make sure the seal gets tapped properly, and then you just slides
There
right
is
out.
enough clearance that Coke can won't get wedged in there.
Oh, no problem at all.
There is a-
No problem at all. And what I'll you can see them on my YouTube videos. What I'll usually do is round over the corners and just try to peen it over so that it doesn't tend to grab. Now, I don't think the aluminum is actually strong enough to sever the rubber no matter what. But still, if you want to be really anal about it, you make sure it's peened over, that the edges are peened over so they're not
Keep it
sharp.
nice and
Nice.
round,
So let's get out the bearing, shall we?
Sure.
Yes, why not?
Yep.
Let me get a socket here. So believe it or not, you can run this up pretty hot without messing up the paint. You just got to kind of go easy. And I don't have my heat,
Thermal laser.
the thermal laser thing, so
Infrared thermometer.
Not
Yeah.
sure exactly where you are. Huh?
I'm going to put this down quick. I'm going to hit it.
Sounded good.
Almost. I just don't want to melt the table. That's it. Bearing's out. So when you're putting the bearing back in, heat the case the same way. The bearing comes out of the freezer,
Yep.
and you put your
Don't touch
it's
that.
hot.
No.
This is actually kind of hot too, but you put your finger in the center of the bearing in the inner race, and you can just slide it in with your finger.
Wow.
Blow on it a little bit, and your finger comes right out.
That's cool.
Yep. And then when that's hot, because that's still going to be warm, you take this, and actually probably even do it here, but you take this and you run it through just the center race.
Yep.
So all you're heating up.
How you doing, Eric?
Howdy. What's going on, man? Everybody, this is Sam. Sam, everybody else.
Hey, Sam. I'm
Hello,
John.
everyone.
Sam, nice to meet you, Eric.
Sam makes some of the cleanest saws I've ever seen.
Oh, cool.
He clean is what he does. Anyway, I do dirty. Here we go. So
Hey, some people like it dirty.
this is really like dirty. So you run the heat right through the center, like that, and then you're not heating up the rest of everything. But once you got that, then you take the crank, which hopefully is cooled.
I already put it away. That's all
Put it
right.
away. You take the crank, which comes also out of the freezer,
Yep.
and just drop it right on in.
Yep.
You're good. One of the things about putting the crank in, though, you got to be careful. If you get your positioners in, these are the positioners. If you get the positioners in, you have to make sure the connecting rod is up.
Right.
If it ends up down, you try putting the crank.
Now you gotta
It's
stop.
Yep. You're not gonna be able to close
It's
it.
not gonna
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but that's
Very
essentially how
good.
to take it apart and more or
Sweet.
less put it back together.
All right.